So then he says, هذه رسالة في تصوير نشأتين وتحصيل سعادتين. This is an epistle. So it's a risala. It's not really a book. It's called a kitab, but it's not that long. It could be easily written in maybe 50 pages in short, in tighter script. So he says about the نشأتان وأما نشأتان فإحداهما المذكورة في قوله تعالى ولقد علمتم النشأة الأولى فلولا تذكرون. So you were aware of the first creation, the first نشأة. Would that you would remember. So that's the first one in Surah Al-Waqi'ah. والثانية المذكورة في قوله تعالى ثم الله ينشئ النشأة الآخرة إن الله على كل شيء قدير. And then Allah creates the second nash'ah. So this is the one in the afterlife. The second nash'ah is in the afterlife. إن الله على كل شيء قدير. And then He's capable of all things. So don't think that this is going to be difficult for God to recreate us. And that's why that follows. إن الله على كل شيء قدير. Don't think that it's going to be difficult. So then he goes into وَأَمَّا السَّعَادَتَانِ. As for the two felicities, فإحداهما المذكورة في قوله تعالى اذكروا نعمتي التي يا بني إسرائيل اذكروا نعمتي التي أنعمت عليكم. So, O Bani Israel, he says, he's saying that he removed the Bani Israel, but in any case, remember my blessing التي أنعمت عليكم. So this was the blessing given to Bani Israel. They had many blessings, but the most important of which was they had a constant sequence of prophets. كل ما مات نبي أتى نبي آخر. So the Prophet ﷺ said that Bani Israel كان يسوسهم الأنبياء. They were ruled by prophets, unlike other people. So that was one of the great blessings. So the sa'ada that he's referring to, and why he says اذكروا نعمتي التي أنعمت عليكم, is guidance. So this is the felicity of this world. It's not happiness that people think. It's not the happiness of having a lot of money, having a big house, having all these wonderful things in the dunya. It's guidance from Allah. So he's saying, remember the guidance I gave you. Remember I saved you from Fir'aun with Moses and the miracles he was given. Remember the manna and salwa. All these things. وَالثَّانِيَةُ الْمَذْكُورَةُ فِي قَوْلِهِ. And then the second sa'ada. وَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ سُعِدُوا فَفِي الْجَنَّةِ خَالِدِينَ. And as for those who su'idu, and also in Nafi', in others, I think this is in su'idu is in Hafs and Kisai and Hamza, but in the other recensions it's actually sa'idu, which is important because one of the things about the difference of qira'ah is they nuance meanings. And so one of the things about sa'ada is su'idu, that it's there, it's mabni lil majhul, right? It's the mas'udun are they're not. So this is a passive, right? If it was sa'idu, then it's an active, right? Even though it's intransitive, it's the person that is sa'idu. He's the one. Sa'idu yas'adu. So it's both su'idu wa sa'idu. They were made felicitous by God, and because of that they were felicitous. And this is what you see. يا أيتها النفس المطمئنة ارجعي إلى ربك راضية مرضية. يعني سعيد ومسعود. It's both. It's سعيد من قبل الله وسعيد في أنفسهم. So these qira'at are very important in that way. It's that they nuance these meanings. So سعيدوا ففي الجنة خالدين فيها ما دامت السماوات والأرض. As long as the heavens and the earth. So there's different opinion of why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says ما دامت السماوات والأرض. And this is where you get these weak opinions about the al-jannah tafna wa naru tafna. But Al-Dhahhak, who was one of the great commentators, he said that the samawat are samawat al-jannah, and the ard is the ard al-jannah wa nar. So kullu ma ya'luka fa huwa sama'un 'inda al-arab. Everything that's over you is called sama. And so Jannah has a sama. Ard is كل ما تستقر عليها قدمك فهو أرض. Everything that your foot finds stability on is called ard, ground. And so, and others say it's actually ta'bid and the adat al-Arab. Like the Arabs will say, Wallahi la azuruka ma damat as-samawati wal-ard. Meaning like, I'll never visit you, right? So that it's an expression of ta'bid. So then he says, وَقَدْ عَمِلْتُ ذَلِكَ لِلْأُسْتَاذِ الْكَرِيمِ أَيَّدُهُ اللَّهِ. And this is the Wazir al-Dabbi. So his name was Abu Abbas Ahmed ibn Ibrahim al-Dabbi. He died in 398. And he was a very pious man. So he wrote it for him. لما رأيته معنيا باكتساب الإنسانية الموصلة إلى السعادتين. When I saw him concerned about acquiring humanity, his humanity, al-insaniya, is a very interesting use, because you don't see this used that often in older Arabic. It's a very modern, it's a much more modern term, insaniya, his humanity. When I saw you attempting to acquire humanity that will, and musirati ila sa'adatain, that will enable you to arrive at the two felicities. A'anahu Allahu ala istifadatiha. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help him to benefit from them. Hatta yasira hawiyan li naw'iha, until he acquires both of them, the both types, the sa'ada al-ula wal-akhirah. Wa muhamiyan ala ma'naha, and guarding the meanings. Wa mara'iyan li khasa'isiha, and careful, like the yura'i, careful on the particularities of them. فَقَدْ كَادَ أَوْ كَانَ قَوْلُنَا الْإِنسان لَفْظًا مُطَّقًا عَلَى مَعْنًى غَيْرِ مَوْجُودٍ. It's almost as if this word of ours, insan, is merely an utterance. على معنى غير موجود. It's an utterance about something that doesn't exist, a meaning that doesn't exist. وَإِسْمًا لِحَيَوَانٍ غَيْرِ مَعْهُودٍ, and a name for an animal that is not known. It's nobody has غَيْرِ مَعْهُودٍ. It's not known. كَعَنْقَاءِ مُغْرِبٍ, like, or مُغْرَبٍ. كَعَنْقَاءِ مُغْرِبٍ. The Arabs, and this goes back to the Greeks as well. So in the ancient mythology, the Egyptians believed this too. There was a bird in the desert of Arabia called the anqa, and every 500 years it would reemerge and fly. And they say if a feather dropped, a sage would emerge. So it's a mythological character. So the point of the phoenix, it's called phoenix in our tradition. And some call it Anqa'u Maghrib, the western phoenix. It's also known, but the proper is Maghrib, which is the wondrous or strange bird. So he's saying it's the human being is like the Anqa Maghrib. We heard about it, but we've never actually seen it. وَنَحْوَ ذَلِكَ مِنَ الْأَسْمَاءِ الَّتِي لَا مَعْنِيَ لَهَا, or like those names that really have no meaning. كما قال تعالى في صفة الأصنام المسماة آلهة. Like what Allah said about these attributes of the idols that are called gods. إن هي إلا أسماء سميتموها أنتم وآباؤكم ما أنزل الله بها من سلطان. These are only names that you have named them with, you and your fathers before you. Allah gave you no authority to name them. وقال جل جلاله ما تعبدون من دونه إلا أسماء سميتموها. You don't worship anything beside God except names that you have called. They're just names. There's no reality to it. You say ism bila musamma. It's a name without anything that it's naming. Like you make up something. You have a name like a unicorn. It's a name, but there's no unicorn, only in the imagination. فجعلها أسماء بلا مسمى ولم أعني بالإنسان كل حيوان منتصب رقامتي عريض الظفر أملس البشرة ضاحك الوجه ممن. So those of you who've done your logic, he's giving descriptions, right? These are descriptions, but they're not definitions. He says, I don't mean by the insan. And insan is really, it's a non-gendered word in Arabic. It applies to male and female equally. I mean, there is an opinion of insana, insanatun fatanatun. Some of them mention that. But insan is human being. It's male and female. It's human being. And so he's saying, when I say human being, I'm not talking about this animal that stands upright. He's got broad fingernails. He has very smooth skin. Amlas al-bashara. Dahik al-wajh. He's risible, right? Like he can laugh. ممن ينطقون ولكن عن الهوى. Those who speak, but speak from their passion. وَيَتَعْلَمُونَ وَلَكِنْ مَا لَا يَضُرُّهُمْ وَلَا يَنْفَعُهُمْ. They learn, but they learn what neither benefit, what harms them and does not benefit them. وَيَعْلَمُونَ وَلَكِنْ ظَاهِرًا مِنَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَهُمْ عَنِ الْآخِرَةِ هُمْ غَافِلُونَ. They know, but they know the life of the outward of this world, and about the next world they're heedless. يكتبون الكتاب بأيديهم. They write the book with their hands. ولكن يقولون هذا من عند الله ليشتروا به ثمنا قليلا. But they say this is from God in order to acquire some paltry part of the world. يجادلون ولكن بالباطل ليدحضوا به الحق. They argue, but with vanity, with falsehoods, in order to undermine the truth. وَيُؤْمِنُونَ وَلَكِنْ بِالْجِبْتِ وَالطَّاغُوتِ. They believe, but in jibt and taghut. Jibt, I mean, there's a lot of different views of it, but generally, in Lisan al-Arab, he says, الْجِبْتُ مَا عُبِدَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ. Jibt is whatever is worshipped other than Allah. Taghut is anything that's excessive, like a tyrannical ruler is called taghut. And some say that the يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْجِبْتِ وَالطَّاغُوتِ. Taghut was Ka'b ibn al-Ashraf, who was one of the tyrants in Medina. So taghut is from tagha, excessive. And then يعبدون ولكن من دون الله ما لا يضرهم ولا ينفعهم. They worship, but other than Allah, what neither harms them nor benefits them. ويبيتون ولكن ما لا يرضى من القول. They spend their nights, but with what is displeasing from words. It's not beneficial. وَيَأْتُونَ الصَّلَاةِ وَلَكِنْ كُسَالَى. They come to the prayer but lazy. يُرَاءُونَ النَّاسِ. Only showing off for people. لَا يَذْكُرُونَ اللَّهَ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. They mention only a little. وَيُصَلُّونَ وَلَكِنْ هُمْ مِنَ الْمُصَلِّينَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ سَاهُونَ. They pray, but in their prayers they're heedless. وَيَذْكُرُونَ وَلَكِنْ إِذَا ذُكِّرُوا لَا يَذْكُرُونَ. They remember, but when they're told to remember, they don't remember. وَيَدْعُونَ وَلَكِنْ مَعَ اللَّهِ إِلَهًا آخَرَ. They pray, but not to God. They pray with another God beside God. وَيُنْفِقُونَ وَلَكِنْ وَلَا يُنْفِقُونَ إِلَّا وَهُمْ كَارِهُونَ. They're charitable, but they're charitable only with just repugnant. They're not happy about it. They're upset about it. وَيَحْكُمُونَ وَلَكِنْ حُكْمَ الْجَاهِلِيَّةِ يَبْغُونَ. They make judgments, but the judgment of the age of ignorance is what they desire. وَيَخْلُقُونَ وَلَكِنْ يَخْلُقُونَ إِفْكًا. And they create, but they create lies. So, and that's why in Arabic, khalaqa can only be used for God to mean create. With humans, it means to lie. اختلق. It means you lied, because we can't create. We can only make from pre-existing things. فَأَوْلَا وَإِنْ كَانُوا بِالصُّورَةِ الْمَحْسُوسَةِ نَاسًا. So these, even if they're in the sentient form of human beings, فَهُمْ بِالصُّورَةِ الْمَعْقُودَةِ لَا نَاسٌ وَلَا نَسْنَاسٌ. In the intelligible form, a surah al-ma'qula, they're neither people nor nasnas, nor resemble people. Nasnas, some say it's the apes that look like humans, like orangutan, things like that. Some say it was actually like a golem, like a creature that was like a human but wasn't. But the Arabs say ذهب الناس وبقي النسناس. The people are gone and nothing remains but resemblances of people.